Hey everybody, Todd here. I just wanted to let everybody know I hope you're safe and staying healthy. God willing, we'll be through this coronavirus situation soon. In the meantime, we've rolled out a way to still do depositions. We're doing them remotely now via the free Zoom app. Many clients are already seeing the advantages of this because it can be done from anywhere and on any device. I've already done a podcast about it and started a resource library for it at www.toddolivas.com/remote depositions. Check that out or give us a call at 888-566-0253. Okay, on to the podcast.
Well, initially, the first time we heard of it, of course, the panic that set in on our school was incredible because, well, the instructors, everybody was afraid for their lives, right? I mean, wasn't that an initial reaction of everybody? Yes. So, we're going to die. I heard actually somebody say we're going to die, and I'm thinking it is the end of the world, right? Well, I have a burden, okay? If I have close to 50 people who rely on me for their living. If I go away, their living goes away. And not all of them are really young. Some of them are not very young. And so it weighs on me every day. I just don't think about it. I just do it. Because, that was my dad. He always said to me, just do. And that's basically, I have a little book, and every day I get up and I just write do. And then when I've finished, I write N-E, done. Jean Gonzalez. I'm president of South Coast College in Orange, California.
Christine Mantilla, supervisor of admissions at South Coast College.
Well, everybody, thank you so much for coming on the T.O.A. Storytellers podcast. I wanted to thank you so much for inviting me in. We are socially distanced today for all our listeners at home, but we are managing and making our way through this COVID-19 thing. So I just wanted to come into my alma mater, South Coast College, and to talk to President Jean Gonzalez about what's going on with the school and what's been happening in the last 8 weeks or so, and about things in general. So Jean, hello.
Hi, Todd. We're so happy to be here, too.
Mm-hmm.
We enjoyed so much coming to your event that you had just recently.
Thanks for doing that, yeah.
That was so nice of you to invite us. And Christine really enjoyed meeting everybody and meeting you for the first time because
That's
she
right.
has heard so much about you from me.
Oh, really?
Over the years, yes.
That is true.
I don't want to know. But, okay, so for the listeners at home, the event you're talking about was in March of this year, 2020. We held a T.O.A. university event for our clients, which is a lot of insurance adjusters and attorneys and such like that. And I had invited you guys to have a booth and to come up on stage so that we could tout court reporting. And I was so happy to see you guys on a short notice. You guys pulled it out. You guys pulled up and set up the booth and came up on stage and talked about the great profession of court reporting and the other programs too.
Well, let's back up a little. We were expecting to come and see Todd in a little room, and
at the back of a Sizzler or something like that.
In the back of a Sizzler, right? Because I have a vision of Todd Olivas, right?
Yeah. What's that vision, by the way? What does this look like? Tell me.
My student,
Aww.
right? My student Todd, and I always called him Toddlet, so he's always going to be my Toddlet.
Toddlet.
But
very true.
When we actually drove up, I was amazed because I couldn't believe that this event was so just expansive and very impressive.
Riverside Convention Center.
Riverside Convention Center, not the back of a taco truck or anything.
Nothing wrong with that,
but no, it was really great. And I remember earlier on, when you invited Kevin and I, when you were in school, this is what I'm relating to.
Yep.
And we go all the way to Hermosa Beach, wasn't it, to hear you play someplace?
Yes.
Okay.
I was in a band, and you guys graciously. This must have been in the late '90s, something like that.
I
you guys
don't
came out?
remember, but I remember I was a little too old for the place at the time.
No, it
and
was
Kevin
awesome.
and I, everybody thought we were his parents.
Yeah, the bouncer thought my parents were out front waiting. It's like, wow.
But no, it was really a pleasant surprise to see you. But you know what? I had no doubts that you were going to do something really good. And that's because I can always pick out students who are going to be exceptional. And I knew right away when every time we had something that was beyond what you had to do in school, Todd was there. And he was there every day, doing his best and always putting forth a lot of effort. And so that's what it takes to be successful, right? Just doing, right?
Showing up.
Showing up and then doing something when you show up. So it didn't surprise me really that you had done all these things since leaving school.
Well, thank you so much for those kind words. It's not easy for me to hear compliments like that. I'll just receive it and I'll just say thank you for providing the environment for me to have succeeded in this field of court reporting. And your tutelage and your mentorship all those years got me through school because I was stuck. I was not a natural court reporting student right off the street. It took me forever. It's a very challenging career. So worth it in the end. But I would have never made it through school unless you had taken your arm around me and provided extracurricular resources like coming in early and speed reading for me and some other classmates and such. So that's kind of like the extra push and was the boost that I needed to get out. So
well, actually, it wasn't speed reading. It was reading slowly and repetitively until they were brain dead.
Yes.
In fact, he told me later, he said, I was actually brain dead.
Yeah, so not many people know this. It's counterintuitive, actually, that, okay, the state exam for court reporters is 200 words a minute, right? And there's 4 speakers, and you got to pass at that high level. Well, you can't really master that level by just staying at that level. You actually have to slow down, way down, and make sure your foundation is firm so that you can fill in all the cracks of your steno writing abilities at slow speed, which is maddeningly slow. And so that really was the key for me to be able to reach those high levels, was to make sure that the basics, it was back to basics and the foundation was firm. And you put in the time and read. It must have been maddening for you.
It was.
Mind-numbing.
It's mind-numbing.
Mind-numbing. So let's jump back real fast. I started this school in I think 1993, and during those days, it wasn't in this big beautiful building we were at. We were at an elementary school,
Right,
in Garden Grove, right?
in Westminster.
Oh, Westminster.
Yes, Westminster. Yes.
What was it like for you during those days?
It was a little different for me because I changed environments. I had been a community college instructor, and through a fluke, when I got involved at the community college, I was an author at that time. I was writing textbooks, and I happened to write a textbook that was very successful on word processing.
Wow.
And then from that, I kept getting invitations from various publishing companies to go on as a co-author with other authors to help somebody who had knowledge in a specific area turn it into a training tool, basically.
Okay, 'cause you had that expertise.
Yes.
Okay.
And so I had an invitation to work with 2 people from back east, Ellen Roberts and John Walsh, and they owned a string of court reporting schools.
Wow.
And they wanted me to come on to make their basically what they taught their students from what their sheets of paper were
Yeah.
to create a textbook.
What was your exposure to court reporting before that invitation? Any at all?
Well, this is what's unusual is going back many years. I started out when I was 15 years old, and I decided I'm going to quit high school.
You did?
Yes, because I needed to make some money. So what did because I came from a relatively lower middle class, family. And so I needed to be independent. And what I decided to do was to become a cosmetologist.
Really?
So
I had no idea.
Yes. So anyway, I asked my parents, is this something that they would help me do, go to cosmetology school? And they said, okay. And at that time, I decided to quit school. So quit high school.
Quit high school.
Yes. So I went, unfortunately, the principal of the high school was my neighbor.
So you couldn't get away with anything.
I went to him and I said, I'm quitting school. And he said, what? And I said, well, I'm going to be a cosmetologist. And he said, well, that sounds like you're going to be running your own business. I said, well, yes, I am. And he said, good. Well, then what you need to do is you need to stay in school and take business courses.
He tricked you.
And so I said, well, I'm pretty busy because I'm going to cosmetology school as we speak. And
pretty busy.
so he said, okay, well, why don't you do this? This summer, you can start taking typing and shorthand. Greg's shorthand.
Wow.
And so I
By hand, right? The
by
little
hand,
symbols on
Greg's
little-
shorthand, right?
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I'll do that. And I finished the summer, and then I went to withdraw from school, and he said, well, you're almost ready to graduate already, so you might as well go back to school and, continue with your education, because someday you may want to, get a job for, and people won't hire you unless you have a high school diploma. So I said, oh, that sounds good. Okay, I'll do that. And then he said, well, if you ever decide to go to college, you have to stay in the academic program. Okay, well, I talked to my dad, and my dad said, well, my dream for you was to go to 1 year of college.
Just one.
One. So I said, oh, okay,
Fine.
Okay, I'll do
1 year.
that. Okay, so I finished cosmetology school, and I started my business in my home. My dad put together a room for me, and my junior prom, I did almost everybody in my room. I went to a small school. I did everybody's hair, and I was exhausted for the prom. So I decided that, maybe this isn't such a good career after all. And so my dad talked me into going to school for a year, and then after 1 year, he said, well, if you went another year, you'd have an AA degree. And then another year, you could get a BA degree. And
See how
so
they keep
then
on-
one more year.
They keep on moving the goalposts on you.
And then I got a degree in English.
Wow.
And then my school, I got a scholarship or a fellowship to go to Kent State University after the University of Scranton. And so I had a master's degree in English
Before you know it.
before I knew it. And I came out to California all ready to go to work. And guess what?
What?
I couldn't get hired anywhere.
Even with a master's degree?
With a master's degree, I was overqualified.
Ugh.
Okay? So since I was overqualified, I worked at the Pago Pago.
What's
Okay,
that?
was
Like a check cashing place?
no, it was a sailor bar.
Oh my goodness.
And then I
And-
went from the sailor bar to the Naval Exchange, selling tickets to sailors to get their picture taken.
Were you a bartender there at the
No.
Sailor Bar?
Oh, no, I was a barmaid, yes, because
Barmaid.
I couldn't even carry drinks, you know. I could get the drink from my hand to the bar. That's as far. And I was it was a very trying time. So anyway, when I first had an opportunity to move from that into the first teaching job that I could possibly get, my passion was literature. Okay, I went to a Jesuit school, and I was taught that, you know, the literature and English majors were the cream of the crop.
Right.
Okay, well, the cream of the crop couldn't get a job. So, my passion was there for literature.
Right, right.
And so I applied my first position at a business school, and they looked at my resume and said, "We would like to hire you to teach Greg shorthand."
Wow.
So I said, "Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, we'll do that.
We'll do that." Okay, and then it went on from that. I found another business school, and they hired me. And they said, "It looks like," well, they had advertised for an English teacher, but they looked at my resume and said, "You know Greg shorthand." I said, "Yes, I do."
Wow.
And they said, "But we teach stenoscript." I go, "Stenoscript? What's that?" "Well, you can teach it. If you teach Greg shorthand, you could teach stenoscript." So I said, "Okay." So stenoscript was an ABC shorthand. Okay? So I taught ABC shorthand at Sawyer Business College.
What city is that? Or
That was in Anaheim, California. Okay? So then I decided, I sent resumes all over the country trying to get my passion, you know,
The literature.
the literature.
Uh-huh.
So I wanted to teach literature, so I found a school in Rapid City, South Dakota, National College of Business,
Right, right.
that hired me to teach English.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Get the U-Haul. Get out there, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly what I did. So I went to Rapid City, South Dakota, and I was teaching English, and I was so happy when one day I was called into the office and the person said to me, "You know, we're training secretaries to use those things. You see those machines there?"
Pointing
Okay.
at a steno machine.
Steno machine. Okay. So we're going to be teaching that. And guess what? We looked on your resume, and you have taught shorthand.
So you can't get away from it.
So I couldn't get away from it. So I ended up teaching their machine shorthand.
Okay.
I took a little seminar with stenograph and ended up teaching. And then after 1 year, I was just so burned out living in Rapid City, South Dakota, and I wanted to get back to California, so I came back to California.
I'm struck. It's almost like steno chose you rather than long before you ever chose steno back,
That's
right?
true.
You couldn't escape it.
I can't get away from it. I couldn't get away from it. So anyway, I went back to my job, and then I met somebody at my job who was also teaching at a community college. And she told me, she said, "You know, they're looking for somebody to teach business communications, and I recommended you. So why don't you go over and talk to Mr. Stone King?" And I said, "Okay." So I went over to talk to Mr. Stone King, looks at my resume, he goes, "Yes, great, you could teach this business communication course, but you could also teach Greg shorthand."
Wow. Everywhere you go.
And so I looked at, you know, that position as well. This is an entryway into the community college. So I got hired there, and I was teaching at one of the community colleges, and lo and behold, they had just started a court reporting program, and they needed somebody to help write the curriculum. So
Okay.
I was asked to be involved in writing the
Of course.
curriculum.
Yeah.
Okay? And so I wrote the curriculum, and participated in that process. And then the lady who was teaching the machine shorthand went on maternity leave.
Leaving it all in your hands.
And then all of a sudden, I was teaching machine shorthand again.
Again, she says.
So then, so then once my writing career got going, I wrote a textbook with Alan Roberts and John Walsh. Basically, I took their textbook and, actually made it so that somebody could actually learn shorthand from it.
Because it was a mess.
It was just like a whole bunch of words on each page.
Oh, yeah.
And I happened to have the book, and then a friend of mine told me that there was this cat company, and I didn't even know what a cat company was, and a cat company had started, and because I had a textbook, I might want to talk to this guy named Jerry Woods. So he was going to be at a convention, and I walked in, talked to him for a while. He said, why don't you come over sometime, and we can talk about maybe you can do some of the writing for and documenting my software.
Mm-hmm.
And the company was called Stenocat.
Whoa.
And so I said, okay.
Still around today?
Yep. So I said, okay. So the day I happened to come over to visit with him, there was this elderly gentleman, and Stenocat was about the size of this room, which is very small.
Mm-hmm,
okay,
mm-hmm.
This was it. And we were sort of at the entranceway, sitting there in two chairs, right, opposite each other. And he started telling me, he says, I have a school, and we teach, and I just went on, and I had heard about him. His name was Stan Whitley, and I had heard that he hated community college teachers, so I was sort of like quiet. And then he said, and I'm using this theory book that I don't like. And he said, I have a theory book. I said, well, it's not really my theory book. This gentleman who had created what was called the Tomcat.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the early systems. He actually worked with me, and we made it to be, he was ahead of his time. So what we were doing is we were working on real time, making the theory real time ready.
Already ready for that.
Already
real time.
So we were really ahead of our time.
Yeah, like by several decades.
Yeah,
right?
by several decades. But his name was Pat O'Neill, and at that time he was an icon in the industry. Mm-hmm. And everybody bowed down, when Pat O'Neill walked in, they just genuflected. And because I mentioned Pat O'Neill's name, he said, okay, I'd like to see your theory book. And I sent him the theory book, and then Jerry and I decided to become partners, and we worked really hard. We had a whole group of people who, we worked like dogs, 12 hours a day.
Getting the manuscript ready?
No, getting Stenocat ready, getting the company off the ground.
Okay, uh-huh.
Yeah, and so, but it was a great experience.
Amazing.
And then when Stan decided to retire, he said, I want Jerry because of, the software, and I want Gene because of the theory, and I want you guys to take over. And he made it possible for us to take over South Coast College.
It's like you have had an incalculable, oversized sort of influence on this industry. You literally wrote the book on steno theory. And I don't know if anybody listening to this is can tell, but I'm like, I knew this, but I'm like also blown away too to hear it again. It's like you're basically a treasure for the industry, and for every reporter out there in the last 30 years who has gotten through school, especially in California. owes you a huge debt of gratitude for putting in the hard work in those early days. So thank you.
Well,
So
I didn't
true.
do it alone, that's for sure.
No, but like I was saying, like Steno was like kind of like always reached after you and grabbed if you wouldn't let you go. You wanted to go off and
Isn't it true? It's
do
really
something else.
it's unbelievable how, and that's why I think that a lot of times we don't even realize. And so now this whole movement is, you have to work in. We have to show that our students are working in the fields in which they were prepared. Well, that's really unrealistic because opportunities take you in multi directions.
Yes.
And look at your opportunity of going to school and learning the skill and developing the skill that you did. You couldn't do what you do today
100%.
if you hadn't done that.
Yes.
And so that's why I'm so against all of this. Well, we have to place our people. Oh, they have to be placed in this little cubby hole.
Yeah. It doesn't leave room for fortuitous kind of things to happen.
It's
right?
That's
Yeah.
exactly true.
Like Christine, did you know that she had that whole history there?
I had no idea. No, I knew a little bit about her history because, we submitted her for the Business Award, the Orange County Business Journal, but Women of the Year Business Award.
Amazing.
But
You deserve
not the
it.
whole story, no. That's really amazing. It's really beautiful.
So I came into the picture in that whole schema in the early 90s. 1993 is when I walked into court reporting school for the first time with my long hair. And I just needed some kind of job because I was working in the mailroom at a court reporting agency by happenstance, basically, But then it turned into this whole passion because before that, music had been my one and only passion.
Exactly.
And then I got here and I realized I love the machine, I love the theory, I love writing on it, and I decided I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna become a court reporter, and I'm so glad I did because I can't imagine what my life would be like today. Because, I've tried other things. Court reporting school. After court reporting school, I got licensed, and then I wanted to do something else for a while, so I went and started a web development company because at that time web pages were hot, And so I did that for a while, but it's just kind of like it never really got off the ground. I mean, I sold a website to you, which I probably owe you a refund.
You did our first website.
Yeah, I really should refund that because it was a horrible website.
Did we actually pay you?
I don't know. I think so.
Probably not.
Somehow I thought I had a business going on.
No, but actually it was one of my favorite websites.
It was cobbled together like with chisel and stone, basically, tools. 'Cause I wasn't a talented web developer, let's put it that way. And then but I thought I was. So I had this business, and then I had a business partner, and then we had employees, and we're trying to do it. But then the .com crash happened, right? What year was that? 2000, 2001-ish, sometime in there. And it all went away. Like everybody and their mother all of a sudden could make a web page better than mine. So like, whoa. Luckily though, thank God, I had a court reporter's license because of the hard work that you put in here at the school, offering it as an opportunity, and I got through it. So I crawled back to court reporting, and thank God I did. So I started freelancing in 2001, 2002, doing just depositions out there, for anybody who would hire me for that. And then by 2003, though, I had like an entrepreneurial bug in me, and so I decided, well, I'm going to start Todd Levis and Associates for no good reason other than because I feel like I can or want to. Nobody needed another court reporting agency, nobody at all, right? But 17 years later, I'm so glad that
I'm so glad you did too. Yeah, that's great.
Thank you so much.
It's great.
How many students do you think have come through here that are that I don't know if you have a number, like how many students through the years do you think have come and gone through here that became court reporters and such? Is that possible to even
It's incredible. I really believe that the majority of the court reporters in the state of California actually graduated from our school.
Yeah.
We do. We have statistics that show
Yeah.
how many people came in.
So it can be
And
looked at.
if you just look at Cameron and Whitney, a lot of the successful court reporting agencies, I shouldn't be saying this on your
No problem at all.
podcast. And
Hi, Cameron and Whitney.
So,
Hi.
and then there's George.
Yes.
I don't know what's the name of his agency.
I can't remember right now, but they're doing really well.
They're doing really well up in L.A. And then, just so many of,
Stephanie
Leslie, Regal Court Reporting. And,
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, all these great court reporters that we have. I
Yes,
mean, amazing court reporters. Amazing. Yeah, some people are, just like, we call her the legend. What's her name? Michelle Graciano. The legend.
Yes, the legend.
She went to UCLA and South Coast College simultaneously and finished in 2 years, or less than 2 years, graduated.
Wow.
And attained her degree simultaneously from UCLA. So, I mean, we have a lot of outstanding people. Cassandra Calderella.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Just, what I think is so great about our school, though, is that our alumni are so still intact, that they come back all the time and, do so much for the school, do so much for our students, help our graduates, and I'm sure you've helped a lot. I know people that you've helped, so
wow, thank you for saying that.
There are a lot of people that you've helped too.
One of the things that has come up recently is that I've started a student scholarship that I wanted to. You and I already talked about this offline last week, but I have $1,000 to donate to or work with you to scholarship to some student that maybe is struggling right now because of COVID-19 and some of those financial hardships. But I really wanted to put that in your hands and to brainstorm with you who would be a good candidate for that and offer it out.
No, I think that's really great, and more of our alumni are they're coming and asking me how can we help and that's really great because especially when you can give back, and I think our alumni have been so good in coming back and just contributing a lot in various ways, and this is really great of you to do.
Oh, you're so welcome. It's the least I could do. Well, let's get into that. Let's talk about the last 8 weeks, the last 2 months or so, where Governor Newsom came out mid-March, I believe, right after our event that we were
right.
Shortly thereafter, the whole state got shut down. And imagine for a college like yours, where students coming in for their in-person classroom setting, all that had to be paused. And so, how has it been? How have you pivoted and adapted? And what's some of the day-to-day look like these days?
Well, initially, the first time we heard of it, of course, the panic that set in on our school was incredible because...
What was that like?
Well, the instructors, everybody was afraid for their lives, right? I mean, wasn't that an initial reaction of everybody?
Yes.
So, we're going to die. I heard actually somebody say we're going to die. And I'm thinking...
the end of the world.
It is the end of the world, right?
Did you freak out, Christine?
No.
No, Christine
Yeah, you're calm.
No,
I can see that about you.
No, but that was the general... feeling around here. This is just awful, and we're not going to survive, and our husbands are going to be out of work. We're going to lose our houses. We're going to do this. We're going to do that, and and I'm just glazing over because I can't deal with that. I can't deal with failure, and so we sat down and we discussed how are we going to approach this whole thing, and luckily. The schools in Orange County put out a flyer that said that they were going to swap out their week or their spring break. And I thought, well, that's a great idea. We can swap out our spring break and take that week and decide how to deal with this. So we did that, and through the week, we had all this anxiety, and what are we going to do? We had students actually giving us suggestions of, oh, well, you could do Zooming or Cisco or all this stuff. Yeah. And Kevin's, who is the director of operations, Kevin Magner, he said, well, we don't have to do all that. We have Office 365. And I had been using Office 365 because we went through re-accreditation at our school.
Right.
And I put everything in teams.
Perfect. So
And
you were ready to go.
So I knew what a team was. Okay?
That's what we knew.
Oh, that is such a
was the
thing
extent.
existed? That was the extent.
Okay, so I said to Kevin, but that doesn't work because it's, there's no way to communicate outside. He goes, oh, yes, there is now. It's, I guess Microsoft was kind enough in 2017 to purchase Skype for us.
For just such a time, right, as this.
So here we were. We now had Skype connected to Teams. And so I said, well, we're going to do it. So everybody, of course, I had experience back remember in Westminster days when we had to move?
Yeah.
Okay, when we
Not
had
easy.
to move, everybody told me, teachers, students, we're not moving. And we were kicked out of the school, the building. It was an elementary school building, and the district took it back. And we had a very short period that we had to move.
Right.
So I said, okay, you guys, you stay here. I'm moving. I'm taking my office this weekend, and I'm moving to the new building.
Right.
So when you're ready, come over, okay? And so basically I had that in the back of my mind when everybody is saying, we can't do this, we can't do this. I said, well, I went into Jill and I said, if I'm the only one going up on Monday, we're going up online on Monday.
Through Microsoft Teams.
So through Microsoft Teams. Well, then everybody sort of came around, and I have probably the best group of employees and teachers ever.
Wow.
They're just incredible. And I was telling Christine today that they have given me much more confidence in them by just seeing what they were able to do in getting up online. But they all rallied, and the first thing we did, I created every one of them a team. I created every class.
So, Christine, you have your own team?
I do have an admissions team.
Yeah.
Admissions team.
But I have every single teacher had a class, and then I called them one by one, and I showed them how to use the Office 365 to get online.
So you trained them all, too?
So I trained them one by one, just in the basics.
The students or the teacher?
The teachers.
Okay.
Okay, so I trained all these teachers to do it. And then we have on our campus one of the Microsoft, she's a Microsoft certified expert.
Like a trainer or
She is, and
consultant?
she's actually a teacher in the paralegal department. But she actually came and sat with one of the teachers during class. Then Kevin would go around to all. Kevin had to put in all the computers. We had to go try to buy computers.
Wow.
With
We had-
cameras.
With cameras.
Right.
And try to get all of this set up, in less than a week.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is all during that
that's the week off.
Easter break week off.
Yeah.
Spring break.
So Kevin put all the hardware together, the cameras, everything, and then the teachers, they figured out what they were going to do, and we just that weekend it was painful. We worked all day and night, and then at 8:00 in the morning the teachers started.
Started coming in.
And then
that first day must have been a little bit nerve-wracking to see if this is going to really work.
It was nerve-wracking, but you know what? I say we have the greatest employees. We have the greatest students. They were.
What was that first day like?
They were
turning it on, and then now instead of them being in class and being read to at speed billing, they were at home.
Yeah.
Each student was at home, logging into the team,
Right.
and the teacher would read,
Yeah.
and they would write
Right.
from home.
It was just the same class duplicated. We actually set up hour by hour the same schedule.
It was seamless then.
Seamless. And actually, when I had my class, which is at 1:00, one of my classes at 1:00 in the afternoon, which was one of the legal classes, after it was over, one of the students says, well, that was just like our class.
Felt the same.
So our students were unbelievably great. They even brought us presents. Somebody brought a bottle of wine. Somebody baked a pie and brought it in. Because we were doing this all from school. The teachers all have their own rooms, all by themselves. But we've had just a wonderful reception from the students, and then we had the problem of, hey, we have a new start. What are we going to do?
Right.
Well, here comes Christine, and I want to tell you a little bit about Christine because
please do. She's been very quiet.
She's quiet. She's quiet.
She doesn't like to toot
Don't
her
like
own
the
horn.
microphone.
Okay, I'll tell you how Christine. I always brag about our alumni. She's one of our alumni.
Oh,
I
wow.
am.
You
I'm
are.
a paralegal alumni.
She's a paralegal.
Amazing.
She's one of our paralegal alumni. And when I would try to get people to be on our advisory board,
Right.
the only person who would ever respond was Christine. And she would come. She worked for Mark Peacock at the time. And she would come and participate. And then she got Mark to come, and he did a lot of events with us.
And still does.
And still does.
Who's Mark Peacock?
He's
an attorney?
He's an attorney, yes.
An
What kind of
attorney
law?
in Newport Beach,
What kind of
civil
law?
litigation. He represents 80-90% law enforcement safety in
Okay.
California.
Okay, so you're working for him as a paralegal?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
yeah, okay.
So one day, I said to Christine in one of our alumni or one of our advisory meetings, I said, "Is there a possibility that Mark Peacock I could interview him about, paralegals?" And she said, "Oh, okay, I'll arrange it." So we set up a telephone conversation, and I had my questions and asked him all questions about paralegals.
Right.
And everything. And at the end, he said, I just want to tell you that Christine transformed my my law firm.
Really?
Yeah. And so
What'd you do to transform it?
I worked.
really,
What
A lot
a
of people
concept,
don't.
right?
It's really that simple. Yeah.
That was it?
That
You
was-
showed up and worked?
I do a little more.
No, but was it, I don't know, what was everybody else like there? They hadn't done that. They didn't
I
work?
do more than I need to, and I do a lot of events and outreach too. So I brought that into the firm as well.
So then later on, Christine did go on, and everybody always wants a better job, right? And she decided to go for this great, multinational law firm. And as soon as she got hired there, she got
Sinking
a letter.
ship.
Yeah.
It was a sinking ship?
Sinking ship, 300 employees, 13 states, and we get a call from the president or the founder saying, "Oh, look, we're going to have to start firing attorneys. We'll keep you legal staff, but we're not making
Oh,
the
wow.
money." I'm just like, what's going on? Head of HR leaves that day, and I'm thinking, I better
I'll
start
edit
looking.
this part out, but what was the name of that firm?
Oh, don't say it. No, I don't think we should do that.
Okay, don't even say it then. Don't even say it.
It's got a couple names to it.
It starts with.
Local.
Okay.
But anyway, so Christine actually called to get placed again, and because we have really good placement for all of our paralegals. We don't have to place court reporters. They are placed as soon as they
Yes.
become, they're grabbed by
hot potatoes.
everybody. But we have to place our paralegals, and we do have to place our medical assistants. So we do have great placement for them.
So those are the three main programs. It's court reporting course, which is my world, which is how I know you
Right.
guys. But there's also the paralegal and the medical assisting.
Right.
So those are the three.
Right.
Okay.
And so, so when she was calling in, Kathy helps in placement for the paralegal program. So she said, "Hey, Christine's looking for a job." And at that time, I was interviewing somebody for the position that Christine has now. And that person at the last moment decided not to come to our school. She got a better position, I guess, or whatever.
Something.
But I said, Christine had come in. I said, "Hey, Christine, are you interested in maybe working with the school?" And
Had you ever thought of that?
Not before.
No?
No, I mean, but I was leaving.
Because you're on the track to be in
in the
Yeah.
paralegal.
paralegal
Yeah,
field.
and I love being a paralegal. I'm really good at it.
Yeah.
But I was leaving, twice a year to come to the advisory board meetings, and I loved coming back here for Pack the School and
like
mentoring as
home.
well.
And she would do a lot.
home.
She would do a lot, setting up the Pack the School for us and getting speakers and everything.
That sort of, I'll just call it loyalty kind of thing, Because when I walked in here, I saw employees, people that I would have seen 20 years ago.
Right.
And I can name Gila or Yoshi or Kevin, of course,
Yeah.
And probably a
All
bunch
the
of
teachers, same teachers.
Wow.
Yeah. And as a matter of fact, I've met some.
It's like, remember those Roach Motel? Like you can get in, but you can't. You can check in, but you can't check out.
Yeah. Well, that's a big joke around here. Everybody who has ever left the school has come back.
I came back several times too.
Nobody ever leaves. They always come back.
Oh my gosh.
That's a testament to you, the culture you created, by the way.
I think it is the culture we have here.
Yeah.
But it was so funny because I know there were teachers who had approached after some of the schools closed down, and they said, "No, we won't even try applying at South Coast. Nobody ever leaves," and that's true. Yeah.
Wow. What has happened in the field of this is called a post-secondary
Private post-secondary?
private post-secondary college, right? That's your degree, or that's that's the accreditation that you guys have.
We're approved by the Bureau, but we are
Okay.
accredited by an accrediting agency.
Yeah. I know that you guys had to do a mountain load of paperwork recently.
Right.
You even submitted to me a survey of some kind, and I was happy to do it. But what was all that?
Well, I don't know if you are aware of everything that had happened with the prior administration, and right at the end of the Obama administration. What happened was ACICS, which was the largest accreditor in the nation, and the only reason we had been approved or accredited by them was that they were the best. And there was this unfortunate thing that happened, that they lost their recognition by the Department of Education. And
Which meant that you lost yours.
which meant that
Yours was
all
in
of
jeopardy.
everybody, all the schools that were ACICS accredited had to find another accreditor.
That's what happened.
And that was terrible because we were bonded, Sage College, Lauren, is one of my best friends, and, we had a bond. All the proprietary school owners who had court reporting programs worked together. We were all really good friends. Nancy Patterson, who owned Bryan College, she was one of my best friends and helped me even financially through everything.
Wow.
So for this to happen, we were all scrambling and going from accreditor to accreditor. In fact, we would all go together. We would all decide, let's go look at this accrediting agency. Let's look at that. And then we'd have to schedule a week and all go to Texas or wherever.
Fly out somewhere.
Have the meetings. Have the meetings. And then everyone would say, we don't want court reporting because they don't produce enough graduates. Because they don't meet the criteria of 40%. You have to have 40% graduation rate. Okay, think about that with the CSR. And every other state, the CSR examination is much more difficult than if you think about it, the RPR is a 5-minute test, 3 5-minute tests. And the
At 225.
Yeah, up to 225, but it's 5 minutes at 95% accuracy, which means that at 200 words a minute, you can have 50 errors. The CSR is 200 words a minute live, not recorded, not 2-voice, but 4-voice live at 10 minutes, 97.5% accuracy, 50 errors for 10 minutes.
Wow.
What a difference.
Wow.
Isn't it? So we are, South Coast is really in this really precarious position of being now the only school
In all of California.
that's left in California that's a proprietary school. And I mean, we're so vulnerable because, I mean, we cannot, meet all the great criteria for court reporting of 40% graduation with an exam that's that rigorous.
There was never a time, I don't think, in our industry's time where
Not nationwide.
40% would have passed any given
No,
exam.
nationwide, it's not.
It's not possible.
No, it's not. It isn't possible. And so, but nationwide, it's the RPR mostly. And so, so we struggle daily, worrying always about whether we can exist, and fighting this fight with every entity, questions your very existence. We were lucky that we found ACCSC, and we were lucky that they look at two other programs of exceptional completion and graduation rates, and placement rates. Plus, the court reporting has a great placement rate. So we were lucky. We had 3 programs, and they looked at it and said, "Hey, you have 3 programs. These other
good.
2 programs
That's a
are good." But the other schools only had court reporting, so they were unable to, to
get reaccredited.
Get reaccredited.
Wow.
So
that's why you're the last.
That's why we're the last one. Yeah.
Hey, what does that do? How do you find the gumption or the? Because I wrote it down. You said you struggle for your very existence,
right.
basically.
We do.
When you're in like this existential fight for your 40-year career, passion, business. How do you get the energy to get up and fight the battle every day, come back in?
I just don't think about it. I just do it. Because, that was my dad. He always said to me, just do. And that's basically, I have a little book, and every day I get up and I just write do. And then when I've finished, I write N-E, done. And so, no, I don't even listen to the news with all this COVID going on.
Because it's not productive after a certain point,
It's not
right?
productive, okay? And I can't deal with the negativity. So I'm just going to do. I'm going to get up and do.
Do the best you can.
And
the
do
best
for
I can.
everybody else.
What'd you say? Say again.
And do for everybody else. Because you do for everybody here.
Wow.
Well, I have a burden, okay?
What is that?
I have close to 50 people who rely on me for their living.
Yep.
If I go away, their living goes away. And not all of them are really young. Well, some of them are not very young. And
so that weighs on you.
Oh, it weighs on me every day.
Because of their families.
Yeah.
That they have to also provide for.
Exactly.
So you have had that burden on you for your whole career.
All the time.
So it's normal.
It's normal.
It's not easy.
Right. But it is normal.
It's normal.
Right.
That's just the way it is.
It is.
You can't imagine any other way of being, right?
Nope.
Having that constant
And everybody
pressure.
said, when are you going to retire?
Right. What do you say to that?
I say to him, I can't retire. If I retire, what happens? Okay? These people don't have a living anymore. And I have seen too many people who sold out to other entities. Mrs. Patterson broke her heart,
Wow.
to see,
To see
court
go-
reporting go away.
Yeah.
I know because I visited her since, and she walked to our school one day, and she said, "Put out your hand," and I said, "Put out my hand." She said, "I want to tell you, if you have a nickel, we'll shake right on it now, and I'll give you the school." And
Whoa.
I said, "Nancy, I can't do it. I can't take on another school." So, but
Wow.
it broke her heart to see court reporting go out of her school.
That says to me, this is not like a mercenary kind of. This is not for a quick buck to get this.
No.
Believe
right?
me, when they see proprietary schools and they make all this money, I go, ho ho ho. You know,
I have no idea.
They have no idea. They have no idea.
The blood, sweat, and tears that
Right.
it's taken to stay. And I know you, and even during my time as a student, and then I was actually an employee here too, because I was waiting to pass the CSR, so I was one of the teachers here. This is like 2000, 2001 time frame. And so I remember, I mean, there was always something happening. It's never been easy, but you've always figured out a way. And that was the joke. That was that you always found the rabbit to pull out of the hat at the last moment, time and time again. I'll never
Oh, yes,
forget
we've
that.
had so many.
Many.
Yes, it's always one crisis after another because there's always one entity after another that's some governmental entity that's out there ready to get you, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's...
As if having a business wasn't hard enough.
Right.
Retaining students, creating an excellent program, and just being a
Right.
great school. No,
Yeah.
you've also got to fight this year's bureaucracy or this
Right.
year's
Right.
pandemic or this
Yeah.
year's whatever, fill in the blank of
Exactly.
whatever
Yes.
dragon's trying to come in
Yeah.
and slay you, right?
Exactly.
How do you keep going? What's the secret? What would you say to somebody
There's
who
no...
wants to give up on whatever they're fighting?
Well, I always think there's never an option of, as I said, when I made the decision that we were going online, there was no option. I mean, we
To
were
not.
going online. I mean, I don't have an
I'll
option.
see you online, everybody.
Yeah.
See you later,
I
sucko.
mean, and so that's how we kind
Right.
of function around here.
Right.
But everybody's sort of, I just think we have an outstanding group of teachers,
You do.
day and night. I mean, do you know that one of our instructors, who is probably one of the most dedicated paralegal instructors, Thomas Lowe, was just made a judge. He was
Wow.
just
Unbelievable.
confirmed as a judge in Orange County Superior
Yes.
Court.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is he still going to moonlight here?
He
Or-
does. He
Okay.
said, I can't do as much as I did before, but
Uh-huh.
I still will teach your criminal law and your evidence.
Wow.
So, and he rallied when we had one of our instructors retired. The head of actually he retired, but he's back.
Still here.
He's still here.
We
Who's
won't
that?
let him go.
Which
Bill,
one was?
Bill Dixon.
Okay.
Bill Dixon was in
Okay.
charge of the paralegal program, and he retired 2 years ago.
Yeah, about that.
So I mean,
Wow.
poor Tom Lowe, he took over, the night school
At the wrong time, Tom. Or
No,
at the right
no,
time.
no. He's actually worked for us for 14 years.
Yeah.
And but he actually said, "I'll help you, figure out the schedules and do everything." So he's been helping us do that.
When
But-
I was here, there were some very, I don't know what the word is, but very pivotal, instrumental teachers that I can remember. So there's like a theme here, and I just wrote down Steve Burris,
It was Steve Burris left.
English teacher,
Yeah,
beyond.
he was
Belief.
was the English teacher that everybody just bowed down to.
Well, he was brilliant. He was hilarious, and I still remember some of his lessons.
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
used
how
to
many years
chant
ago?
Best
every
teacher.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we also have, he sort of moved up north, and
Okay.
we still use his books, but Joe Burt is actually,
Joe, okay, yep.
Joe's phenomenal.
Yeah, I remember Joe.
And we always have really good pass rates in English and law.
Oh, yeah. Oh, speaking
And-
of law, I also wrote down John Casoria, who
John
is
Casoria,
hilarious.
I want to reconnect with him someday because he moved out of our area. He said it was too far to travel, but
Uh-huh.
he was, actually, we needed to have him teach a class when we got our AA degree. We were missing one class, and I put it in, and I invited all of our alumni, and we packed. Well, this is when our school was over in Anaheim. We packed the whole room, and it was going to be an all-day session, and I couldn't get the people to leave.
'Cause he was there, he's
Because
just
he
a
was there.
magnet.
He was a magnet. He
Uh-huh.
just kept going on and on and on. It was like unbelievable. But we've had such great teachers, and we were just talking about one of the instructors during the day, Ron Menard.
Yes.
Yeah, yesterday he did something on
Cybersecurity.
And I mean, you read.
Yeah, what's that about?
When you read
Why do you guys
his,
have to do that anyway? What's the cybersecurity thing?
It's one of our events.
Well,
Okay.
but besides that, we just finished today putting together for the Department of Education by June 30th, we have to have all of our people trained in cybersecurity, and so actually Mehdi Asghari next door, who he's our landlord too. But he also he's a brilliant man, and he is really into the cybersecurity now. He's an engineer, and he put together our training packet, and he's now going to do our cybersecurity with Jonathan. He's been working with Jonathan to do the procedures that we have to have. That will be audited by the Department of Education, of course. We have to have our auditors once a year come in and, of course, pay the auditors a huge sum of money, right?
Wow.
And so
much goes into making this happen.
It
People
does.
have no idea.
No idea. No idea.
I don't think I have it in me to start a school.
No, anybody, actually Sandy Finch from, I forget what the name of her school was up north. She asked me one time about when she was thinking about getting involved with taking over a school. I said, don't do it. And you know what? When her school closed, she said, Jean, I should have listened to you.
Because unless you have that extra special something that you obviously have, then it's just going to be miserable. But you have something else that keeps it going, that stops it from becoming miserable, becomes a mission for you, right?
Right, I guess so.
Can you imagine, what else would you do? Like, you have so much energy. You haven't aged a day in 20 years.
Oh, God.
Seriously.
I remember he once said, I think I was 40 years old, and he goes, oh, she's ancient.
I did not say
Yes,
that.
you did.
Did I say that? Now I'm 48. Look at me. I'm like payback.
He's ancient.
I am ancient now. So, wow. So I don't know how you do it. I'm so grateful to have known you all these years. It's such a treasure in my own life to be able to, and I pop in a few times per year just to say hi usually. And today, with the podcast gear, wanted to capture it so that other people could enjoy you and hear the story. And so much, we barely even scratched the surface of what you've had to go through all these years, decades to get to today. But we are in a weird time right now. Everybody,
Right,
the whole world over. And so I just wanted to pop in and see how you are managing. And true to form, you're thriving as usual with the teams and having pivoted so quickly to that. What of these changes that you've had to make right now, do you think you'll carry over after there's less restrictions for in-person meetings?
Well, Christine and I talked about this today. I think this is ultimately going to be, I think we've benefited a lot from it. I think our program can be better. Their students are very excited because we have tons, and believe me, Jonathan works with us, Jonathan Cortez, and he's uploaded a lot of the volumes of material, all these files that we have. So, and now we can make them available to students. So, so things that were hidden away, they're now available for student use.
Right.
And a lot of students are saying that. And another thing, I record my classes as teachers record their classes. I had a student send me a message that said, this is the greatest thing that you record, because then I can listen to it over and over and over.
It's awesome.
And, that's the last thing I thought a student would want to listen to, a recording over and over and over.
No, but it's so true, because once that hour is done in normal life, well, it's gone.
It's
done,
gone,
right? But now you've captured it forever.
Exactly. And so many other good, positive things.
How about this? Is this true? So before all this, you're limited your student base population was limited by the people who were geographically close enough to drive in every day, Well, now with doing things more remotely, is it possible that you could get a student in Northern California and they could become a student here and stay at home?
Well, if we jump through the next level of hoops,
what's that
I
look
have
like?
to get the Bureau for Private Post-Secondary Education has to approve our online. This is only temporary approval. Then we have to have ACCSC, our accreditor. Then both have to have a visit. Both incur costs. Okay, more costs.
It's possible,
Okay.
but there are hoops to get there.
There are hoops
Yes.
to get there. And of course, I'm getting a lot of pressure from some of the teachers, even some of the students who like the idea of having I'd like to do a hybrid, and we probably
That makes
will
perfect sense to do
go
a hybrid
forward.
because
Yeah.
students who want to could come in and
Right.
get the same information that the people on the team view.
Exactly. Or even,
see.
to have a hybrid where you came to school maybe 2 days a week and the 3 days a week you were at home, practicing or whatever.
Awesome.
So,
Yeah.
if we do go forward with that, I think that's a definite positive. But even if we don't, what we've captured in our teams can be used in our classes now.
Wow.
I mean, within within our school.
Build up that library of resources that you can then leverage and
to
utilize
make it
over and over
easier-
again. for
Easier
future.
to use. You know what I mean?
That's
Make
great.
it easier to use. And and things that Christine has done for the admissions, they've been doing virtual.
Tours.
Virtual events.
Virtual tour. Really?
No, we've been out virtual events, virtual tours, virtual appointments.
So cool.
And we've
right?
made a lot
It's amazing.
of friends virtually, virtual
we have.
friends.
Who are these friends?
I don't know, good. Like who is it from the Better Business?
Better Business Bureau. We
Oh,
have
okay.
a woman who's a part of the arbitration unit there who joins our events. We've gotten in contact with the
NALA.
president of NALA, which is the Paralegal Association. Orange County Paralegal Association has joined us. We had a retired Orange
And
County.
prior to all this, you guys didn't have that much of a relationship
No.
with these
Nope.
people?
No.
Okay. Really
No.
cool then.
So we're bringing them in here virtually to join us,
Right.
Like the unintended gifts of
create strong relationships, and
the strong
Right.
relationships.
use
So
them with
there
our
are-
students.
Yeah, there are a lot of really positive things I think that have come out of it and
Oh,
will come out of
100%.
it.
Yeah.
100%. In my world, we have rolled out Zoom depositions and Cisco WebEx as well.
That's so great.
Before this, there's no way that any of my clients would have done one voluntarily.
right.
Maybe they would have done telephonic if it was a doctor or something, but a party depot would have been like,
No.
it just never would have
Can't
happened.
control it.
Yeah, exactly. But people have been shifting over, and I know that there are certain clients, not for every case, but certain ones will forever add Zoom depots or WebEx as part of the arsenal that they will be willing to do in the future, even after we don't have to
Yes.
do it.
Right. It's good.
Which is great for us because what it does is that it now allows us to have a court reporter anywhere in California available for that Zoom depot. And so the shortage that we were feeling, that everybody felt, is now alleviated somewhat on those days.
So
you
the
know.
pressure too of you wondering what's going to happen, digital or something taking over. That's what I've been hearing. That it's kind of alleviating that fear.
I think so too. I mean, there's bigger fish to fry right now, which is the health side of things. But yeah, the digital takeover is not really on the forefront, I don't think. Of,
Right.
Because the Zoom depots are not going to be able to be you're not going to be able to replace the court reporter out of the chair very easily.
No.
In this scenario, so
No.
it's good.
And we've had 2 virtual events where I was so surprised to hear. Even the president of NALA said court reporters will never be replaced. And then we had judges. We had a
Yep.
judge and who said
Same thing.
no. He was very positive toward court reporters and attorneys who say, we want court reporters.
Yeah.
So that was really great for me to hear listening
Yeah.
to the, your virtual events.
It's awesome, and so I think the more court reporters that we can generate out there, that we can put out in the field, I mean, the less likely any digital takeover could happen.
Right.
So that's why I'm supportive of your school
Yeah.
for
well,
life.
That's so good. That's so good.
So what did I forget? Did I forget anything that you wanted to? You brought some notes there. Are these related to
Oh, no.
talking points? Okay.
No.
I wanted to make sure just to give a.
I just was, a little nervous at the beginning because I didn't know if I'd have anything to say.
Here we are an hour later. Can't get you to stop talking.
All right.
Just kidding.
No, we really thank you for coming over today
You're very
and
welcome.
for, letting us to have a little podcast sometime with you. It's hard to get time with Todd anymore
Yeah,
for
we'd
little
love
toddlers.
you here to be a part of our events too.
Yeah.
I would
have
love
your
it.
expertise.
What's the next event? What do those look like for you guys?
Wednesdays at 2 p.m.
Okay.
We're thinking about putting on maybe a special one once a month,
Mm-hmm.
timing wise.
And they
if
be
it
on
doesn't
like
work.
Zoom, something like that?
Correct.
Yeah, they're on Zoom.
Okay, send me an invite and I'll make it a
Okay.
priority.
Definitely.
Yeah,
That's so
please
cool.
do.
It was important for me to get up today and remind you that we had scheduled this, or tentatively scheduled to do this, because I really wanted people to hear from you, and for them to have the opportunity to hear from you. The amount of dedication and passion that you've poured into several industries. When I most have an affinity for, obviously, is court reporting, but also the paralegal and the medical assisting. These things don't happen by accident. Schools don't stay in business 40 years by accident or because it's just coasting along, But you have had to adapt and to reinvent all along the way and stay positive. And the culture that you've created comes from you. It's not happenstance. It's because that's what filters down from the top. And so on sort of the trickle-down culture that you've created bears fruit. And the fruit is that employees never want to leave. Students always want to come back and support and make sure that future students get to enjoy it here as well. And you've done that. And you've created an amazing, I don't know, like a legacy here, a living legacy. You're a living legend.
Oh,
That's what I'm
gosh.
trying to say.
Wow.
So I wanted to say
Yeah,
thank you so
thank
much,
you.
Jean Gonzalez from Southcoast College. How could somebody reach out to you and get a hold of you or contact you? Or Christine?
Admissions?
Yeah. Sure.
Admissions
So if they just
at
go to the websites.
southcoastcollege.com or the website.
Okay, so admissions
Sure.
at southcoastcollege.com or even just www.southcoastcollege.com and check out.
.edu.
Yes.
.edu. Sorry about that. Okay, perfect. Okay,
Well, thank you so much, Todd.
You're
and
so welcome.
Great to see you.
it was awesome. Thanks so much for
Thank
being
you.
on the T.O.A. Storytellers podcast, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Hey, it's Todd. I just want to let you know this T.O.A. Storytellers podcast episode is sponsored by my company, Todd Olivas & Associates. We've been supplying court reporters for depositions since 2003. If you're an attorney and need a reporter anywhere in California, we've got you covered. We're on a lot of preferred vendor panels already, but if we're not on the ones you have, usually a simple inquiry from you to your TPA or employer does the trick. Or if you work at a TPA or employer, please ask your defense attorneys to give us a try on one of your files. We've been known to treat our clients like family, and we would love a chance to work with you next. To schedule a deposition, simply call 888-566-0253 or visit www.toddolivas.com. That's www.toddolivas.com. Thank you, and hopefully we'll see you at your next deposition.